This is Between Two Phones.
So I take it that hot, fresh beignets are one of your favorite things, Eric.
They really are. And it's a moment that you just have to surrender to the...
I love how you surrendered. Like, we weren't even rolling yet, and Eric was already indulging into
It's all over here.
Well, Cafe Du Monde in New Orleans, we're having a cup of coffee. Cheers.
Cheers.
So
speaking of favorite things.
These are one of your favorite things. What are your favorite features, I guess, of what Zoom can do?
Oh.
And while you answer that, I'm going to try a hot, fresh beignet. I've walked by Cafe Du Monde many times before. I've never had. It's going to be my first time having a hot, fresh beignet.
Well,
Camera.
I'll say words, but people are going to focus on you, John. This is a great moment.
I'm going to go ahead and get real messy, too. So
remember to hold your breath.
I'm going to hold my breath so I don't inhale powdered sugar. But tell us about your favorite things, sir.
So my favorite thing that just released this year is meeting summary. And it sends me, after every meeting, it sends basically just a quick summary with some action items on what happened in that meeting. I can send this out. It saves me from having to take notes. It's very accurate. Like it would summarize right now that John has a lot of powdered sugar on his facial hair.
You know, it would be interesting if it did do visual type of summarizations. A visual, like, hey, this is something that's interesting about this video happening right now. Well, I did make a mess.
What would you say, while I try and not be as messy, what would you say are some of your favorite things?
Well, I think today
Zoom?
lint rollers are a good thing because I'm going to need those later. I have powdered sugar literally caked all over my clothing, so that's fun. You know, I would say for me, you know, you mentioned meeting summaries. Smart chapters to me are amazing, which kind of ties in with meeting summaries. But so I'll give you another one. When I was a child, I wanted to be a meteorologist so bad. I wanted to stand up in front of a green screen, much like the one we have behind us here, that we've conveniently found here at this coffee shop, Cafe Du Monde. And I wanted to be able to have the graphics key out behind me and me put whatever I want behind me on screen. And it's really cool that we're able to do that. Even a free license is able to key out the background and do it. You think about the amount of computational photography processing that has to take place for that to happen. That's huge. It's a tremendous amount.
These are things, and this is one of the great things about working in Zoom and our time that we get to live in. In our lifetime, this was completely impossible.
Yeah.
When we were kids, you had to do, CGI wasn't there. The closest they had, Star Wars, was very, very close, and they were cutting edge because they were doing miniatures with a background.
Yeah.
So the level of video manipulation and fun that we get to have with that, and it really helps set a scene that is, much more immersive.
Yeah. I think on that note, I'm going to need a full shower.
From Cafe Du Monde in the French
sugar.
Quarter of New Orleans, between two phones.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, we have Scott here on the line with us. Welcome, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us today. You know, the interesting thing about Scott, Eric, is Scott was actually our very first guest on Between Two Phones. So Scott's actually making an encore performance here.
Yes. Sure.
Down in the Orlandos.
That's right.
I like you guys better poolside, right? I will bring
as long as I keep a shirt on.
Yeah.
So, we're going to keep things lighthearted today. I want to kick things off with a lightning round that we will run through and ask you a series of questions, Scott. These are not related to anything in our industry, so to speak. So we're going
just remember, there's no right answers, but there are wrong ones. So
that is true. And We're going to put 60 seconds on the clock here. So let's do that now. We'll go through and have Eric, why don't you, as soon as you ask him the first question, we'll start the clock.
Okay, here we go. Chocolate or vanilla?
Oof. You know what's crazy? I like a very fine vanilla.
Disney or Universal?
I got 4 kids, Disney.
Electric or gas?
You know, I've owned several Chevy Volts, and I'm going to lean electric at this point.
Snow or sand?
Long Beach, California, baby. Sand all day.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Multiple cups of coffee.
Beer or wine?
Beer. IPA. All day.
Nice. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke. Cherry Coke specifically for me.
There you go.
But
Ooh.
Tequila or bourbon?
ooh, man, this is the hardest one. But it is summertime, so let's go margaritas. Let's go tequila.
Okay. Apple or Google?
Apple.
I do have one final question for you. Zoom or Microsoft?
Let's go Zoom, baby.
Gross.
That a boy. So Scott works for DTEN. DTEN is a long-standing hardware provider of Zoom, and y'all make some really cool stuff. Like the stuff that you guys are manufacturing and customers are using, that's just rave reviews of the products. And I think of one thing in particular, and that is these large displays that D10 provides, specifically the D7X, right? That's the newest big display that y'all have, right?
Yeah, that's our third generation of the flagship Zoom rooms for touch device. So we worked alongside Zoom to bring to market, one of the very first Zoom room designs, all in one with the touch, the whiteboarding, camera, mic, speakers, everything you need in a single device.
And these come in several varieties too, like in terms of size, right? They're not just necessarily a one size fits all, although they do a lot and they can have a lot of applications. I know for one, I've used them to whiteboard, just simply draw on in the past.
Yeah, 100%. So anything from a 27-inch personal device that could go on a desk all the way up to 55, 75. We have a dual 75. And then with our bars and other things on Zoom, you can extend that into up to 3 displays. So really neat stuff.
What form factors? So if I have a 55-inch interactive display, right, I can do kiosk with this. I can put it in a room system, whiteboard companion, the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have carts at all? Just wall mount? Like what physical form factor do I have?
Yeah, both actually. So all of our products ship with the mount, so you can easily hang it on the wall. It's going to be flush. If you want to extend that, mounting system, you can definitely do that with third parties. But one of our most rock star use cases is a 55-inch on a rolling stand. Heckler, we partner with them, several other people in the Zoom ecosystem. But it just allows the customers to be extremely flexible. Maybe they don't have the privilege of actually installing, right, or running networking or doing some of those things. So we've been really popular in mixed use spaces, in these, different office environments where people are sharing spaces, and they can roll that card in, connect it to Wi-Fi, right, single cable, and they're within the Zoom ecosystem in less than 10 minutes.
I mean, I can see a use case of classrooms where they have all these different devices for different functionality, being able to consolidate that down to a singular device that, hey, we're not in a meeting, but we're doing a whiteboard. Here's your device. Yeah. Now we are doing a virtual classroom and we want to incorporate the remote people. Single device. We want to use it in this space, or this space we're on. I mean, to me, that versatility is a great asset.
Yeah, 100%. And not to mention how much, the failure is centered around these peripherals coming unplugged, right, in a room. You can have a very important meeting that doesn't happen because the USB mic's unplugged or they can't get the USB camera to work. And you've got different stuff, right, at a PC component level, too many failure points, right? So easiest thing to do, single cable, roll it in, everything's going to work, highly reliable, bring that experience to any space.
So when we think of all the applications of these devices, I think back to one of the coolest deployments I've ever seen of Zoom. And they took one of those old London phone booths, a red booth, the iconic close the door on it type thing. And guess what was the focal point of this thing? Instead of a payphone right in the middle, it was a D10 Me 27-inch screen with a camera, microphone, and speaker all embedded in one. I mean, I'm sure you guys see just some incredible use cases where people are placing these devices because they're very lightweight in terms of footprint, but not only that, they certainly serve a purpose of bridging a gap of not having to, cart around a big, device, even like your laptop. You don't have to have that as an endpoint. You're able to do some really cool stuff and put these in some creative places, I think.
You guys, one thing we saw, obviously an explosion during COVID where these use cases, we couldn't even have cooked them up, right, in our wildest dreams. And people were taking advantage of under $5,000 to roll a full professional conferencing system into a space. They were teaching kung fu classes, right? We had robotics classes virtual where someone would program a robot remote and it would draw on the whiteboard, right, what they had just programmed. And so all these things from education to keeping businesses alive. We had small and medium business turning to us to take orders, right? Help deliver food, continue online learning, and all these things that people were normally doing in person. They were still able to execute that remote with a single device, super affordable. So, both Zoom and DTEN really came to the rescue for a lot of businesses during that time.
I really love the versatility of the 27-inch when you talk about, and we have these in our offices, right? Where you can go into this huddle space and it's just meant for 1, 2, maybe 3 people. It's a very small space, but you can go in PC-less. John loves this, right? You can even have your mobile app.
The ultimate mobility solution. I just show up and get on a screen.
One of the
but
tools,
you can
the mobile QR code thing, right?
Oh, but you can also use it as an external touchscreen monitor, only on PC. But you can plug in and have that exact same device that's set up for Zoom as a huddle system. Now you can use that space as an external monitor, nice 27-inch screen that is full touchscreen enabled, so that you are now able to interact with that. Like another level of versatility, because I like touchscreens. I've had them for a while. I'm used to using them. And so to have that ability to flip between Zoom mode and I think they call it monitor mode. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that like having the ability to show up and just have the hardware at your disposal is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you walk in, you've got that QR code, you enter the device with your contacts, your meetings, your calendar, right? And it all loads in. Or with a single USB-C, right, we're driving that external kind of BYOD environment. But what customers love is that smart connect we've developed with the touchback. It'll power your device. So super, super versatile. And this thing is what, $1,000. So we've seen, hundreds of them deployed into these small flex spaces, right?
With phenomenal clarity on the screen and phenomenal camera quality. A built-in single form factor that I can't speak well enough about that. I've put mine in my box and brought it to customers and partner sites at least a dozen times. I cannot think of another device I'm comfortable doing that with than that D10.
Yeah.
Because of most things have small little camera add-ons. If they're an all-in-one, they're loosely attached, and I worry about breakage.
Yeah, and these are true all-in-ones, right? They're designed as an all-in-one. All the wiring is internal. We have, proprietary connectors that are, magnetized. It's a true all-in-one from the design up. And like you said, there's some AIO options out of there that are, 2, 3 components kind of all duct taped together and put on a stand. And it's, something where I feel like, the D10 products really shine in that environment. We win most shootouts, right? Because not just of the performance and everything you listed, but it's a clean all-in-one, right? That you can deploy for meetings or any of those return to office, right? Use cases that we saw really start spilling out into businesses when they returned into the office.
So all that said, even though these are great all-in-one devices, For the customer that seeks out maybe the ability to control their devices with a control panel, either on the desk, the conference room, or maybe even a scheduler that's out on the door, what solutions do you have for those customers?
Sure. So I mean, if you think about where Zoom is parking control at the moment, it's in the Zoom Room controller application, right? So
Yeah.
any of those things can be, either hardwired in or connected through the cloud. We have wireless versions. So we not only do we have the Zoom Room provided controls, but we work with Extron to punch out into more room controls. We'll have QSys and the Crestron stuff, but coming towards the later of the year. But all that is really easy and kind of parked in the Zoom Room controller. When you go up through our product line, we have Android-based stuff, which is locked down, right? High security. You're staying in that Zoom environment, but we also make Windows devices, which kind of opens up the I/O, gives you more control features. You can integrate third-party audio systems, right? You can really expand and scale into the size of the room or the configuration that you really need for that space. So we really offer a full solution, not just on feature set, but on that environment, the accessibility, right? For enterprise that wants to lock down their networking, we can definitely provide that, where we can leave these machines wide open for the user to kind of plug in and use and have a personal experience.
Where
So,
can partners? Oh, go ahead, Eric. You have another question.
I do. If you were to give us a little peek, remember we put this on the interwebs, so be safe. I don't want you risking your job. But if you could give us just a little peek on what's coming down the road that you're excited about, something that we might be able to see in the next little while.
Yeah, so I really think that what we're starting to see is more cameras in a room covering multiple angles, having front end AI that's offloaded to DTEN that helps provide the best view, right? We got to eliminate duplicates. We got to find the speaker, right? But what we're doing with our View Pro cameras, which we just left InfoComm with several Best of Show awards, and these camera systems allow you to expand, right? We're doing accessibility and flexibility. We're not doing this situation, right, where it's really kind of a hard skew in that environment. You can start with a bar or a screen. You can add 2 more cameras, 4 more cameras, right? And we're kind of concentrating everything front of room. It's modular. You're able to share content. We feel like 90% of meetings, somebody shares content, starts a whiteboard, they collaborate, they annotate. There's something going on, right? More than just looking at each other and talking. And that's where DTEN's developing those front of room solutions with, all these video and audio things being processed, working with Zoom together to provide more of a production, right, of a meeting. It looks like you have a director there. So taking advantage of Intelligent Director, bringing cameras front of room, and just really giving the customer a flexible, option is where we're going to go towards the end of the year.
Awesome.
I want to thank you so much, Scott, for joining us once again here on Between Two Phones. If partners have interest and questions on where to go to next to engage with DTEN, where should they go?
Yeah, so we're all over the internet. We have some really great stuff on YouTube. So you can search DTEN on YouTube. You'll see product demos, videos, announcements from shows, everything we're doing on there. We have DTEN.com. And for our partners in our professional network, check us out on LinkedIn. And that's where you can definitely connect with us and reach out. If you have any customer questions or needs or projects there, we got a full team here to help.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you all next time.
Appreciate it, guys.